Hello, everybody. This is Nikki from Motherhood Unfiltered. It's going to be okay. And today's guest, I have Michelle Hougland, and she has been a successful online entrepreneur for over 17 years with multiple streams of income. And her specialty has been the online consignment business, and she's gotten awards with eBay's, and it's just been a wonderful time getting to know her. And but before I bring her on, I just want to remind everybody to if you're watching this on YouTube, to comment, like, and subscribe. If you've already done that, you're awesome, right? And so share this with someone you love. And if you're listening on a podcast, please go to Apple iTunes, Spotify, or I don't think there's any other place at the moment that I know of. But if you do, please rate and review the podcast. That just lets me know how well I'm doing. And I would like to move up the food chain. So I need your help with that. So without further ado, here is Michelle Hoagland. Hi,
Hey everyone. Hi
Michelle.
Nikki. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. We've just really connected and talking, and
Mhm.
I just love that.
Me too. It's been fun talking to you, Nikki.
So, just tell us about, you've been doing this online consignment for a long time,
Yeah.
and you've been successful with it. So,
Mhm.
tell us how and why you got started with that.
Oh, yes. This is my heartbeat and my passion. And that's why when you invited me on the show, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, Nikki, I'd love to be on the show. At the time, this was back in 2004, I was pregnant with my child, my first child, and I had been working in the dental industry for about 15 years at that time. I started in high school and I absolutely loved it. I had every plan on going back, had my 6 weeks maternity leave, had a C-section 3 weeks early. She decided to come knocking on the door to this world. And I'm at home finally with her recovering from surgery. And, after the busyness of everybody coming to visit, and
Mm-hmm.
then the house is finally quiet, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
holding her alone with her for the first time. And I'm like, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't go back to work. What am I thinking? This is my little one that she's only going to be
Right.
this small once, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, that's what started my journey that led me down a long road to get me to where I am today, which is where eBay came into place for me for
Uh-huh.
selling online and many other platforms so I could stay home with
Right.
her.
Right. So when you decided, you're like, okay, well, I don't have a
Mhm.
job now.
Yeah.
How, what am I going to do? So how did you come up with the idea of online consignment?
Yeah. It was a process. So I had gone through 6 weeks of my maternity leave, desperately looking for something to replace
Mhm.
my income. And this was back when eBay was still known for beanie babies and people were
Mhm.
not comfortable with online shopping. Amazon was
Mhm.
still a bookstore. It was not
Yeah.
like what we know today. So it was
Right.
a whole different landscape. But I remember
Mhm.
trying to, I was like, I know there has to be a way that I can work from home with her. And so I was actually had already used up my whole maternity leave, couldn't find anything. I was putting my shoes on to go back to work and I had the TV on and I normally don't have that on in the morning and an infomercial come on and I normally don't order from infomercials, but it was this guy named Dave Espino who I, through a series of events, have gotten to know and become friends with. He was selling a course to teach you how to sell on eBay. So I
Mm.
was like, oh my gosh, that could do it. That could keep me home
Mhm.
with her and replace my income. So ordered the
Mhm.
course, fast forward, started selling things. It took me about 3 weeks to replace my income, which was incredible. I was very grateful for that and
Wow.
resigned. But it took me about a year later to then discover the consignment model, which for your
Mhm.
listeners, consignment, which you probably know, consignment stores and boutiques, but basically I help sell things for other people online.
Mhm.
How much stuff do we have sitting around our houses and garages? So I
Yeah.
help them do it for them and it's free inventory for me and it provides
Right.
great service. So it's a win-win. It's pretty cool.
Right. So you the consignment part just popped in my head was,
Yeah.
and you just charge a fee to sell it
Mhm.
for them, right?
And if it doesn't
Yeah.
sell, they don't have to pay. But
Uh-huh.
I've learned through the years, I've been doing this going on 18 years now, that little baby's in college now, which is crazy, absolutely crazy how time flies, which I'm just so
Yeah.
glad that I took the leap and made the most of the time right before she grew
Uh-huh.
up. But
Right.
it I don't charge if it doesn't sell, but I have learned, of course, not to take things on. I know how to figure out if the market wants what they have
Oh,
and what the
yeah.
prices are. So
Right.
I don't accept things if I don't think I'm going to be able to sell them and sell them quickly.
Okay, so that you learned to do that through experience.
Yes, the
Yeah.
hard way. Yep, that's why I
Yeah.
love helping to teach others how not to do it the hard way.
So
Yes.
leading into that, so you have a book coming out. So tell us
Yeah.
about that.
Yes. So back at about 2 years into my business, so I had been doing eBay for 1 year, just doing
Mhm.
trying to find stuff around my city to sell. Then
Mhm.
I discovered consignment, and I was like, "This is great," because I was still learning what to sell and what not to sell, so at least
Mhm.
now I didn't have to put out my hard-earned money, which we had to make a certain amount of income for me to stay home with her, so,
Right.
if I didn't have to put out the money to be able to buy the stuff, hoping to God it would sell before the tools have increased so much through the years.
Yeah.
So consignment was a way I could get it for free and still make income off of it. So
Mhm.
about 2 years into my business, I wrote an ebook by the same name of the book I'm publishing. It's coming out this fall,
Mhm.
but it's online consignment the easy way. And so
Mhm.
I sat down to write this about the beginning of this, well, about June of 2022 to revamp
Mhm.
it. And
Mhm.
I was like, I got to scratch that whole previous ebook because I've learned so much, So I rewrote the whole thing. But I'm really excited because I hope it can help a lot of, especially mothers. That's where my heartbeat is. Help mamas who
Yeah.
want to gain that time with their
Right.
kids. And others. I have men that also buy my courses and benefit as
Mhm.
well. But yeah, that's really where my passion is, helping the mamas to be mamas,
Yeah,
and
I
to make
know,
income.
and that's one of the number one things that causes a rift in someone's life or a
Yeah.
relationship with their husband or partner is that they don't is money, some
Yeah.
money. And I think we are realizing that it's best if there is someone at home taking
Hmm.
care of the house and the kids. When both parents work, you
Yeah.
have to divide all those responsibilities, and then things get either don't get taken care of or they get or you're always playing catch up.
Yeah.
So I feel
Absolutely.
like, having a side hustle is what, people use
Mhm.
today is really important for us to be able to, you know, take care of our families. Those
Yeah.
should be our number one priority. And then, of
Absolutely.
course, people who suffer with depression and anxiety, of
Mhm.
course, if you're not making money, that just makes it
Yeah.
worse.
Oh gosh, it amplifies it, doesn't it? Money problems can make everything worse and
Mhm.
stress, and it really can wear and tear on your relationships as with
Mhm.
your spouses, your
Yeah,
children, yeah. Not to mention your mental health and stability.
exactly. And then
Yeah.
this whole thing with the pandemic, and now we're, um, you know, it's a recession or
Mhm.
it's not a recession, whatever is happening, the
It's not,
prices
yeah,
are going
right.
up.
We know it is. Yeah.
I mean, I'm being told it's not a recession, but I know what I'm paying at the gas pump, you know.
Yes, and the grocery stores, oh my gosh, it's
Yeah, so
crazy.
I mean, even if you have a full-time job, I mean, having, an extra income,
Yeah,
it's gonna help, especially when those extra expenses come up with kids, because they always come up.
right.
But so
Mhm.
was there any other types of businesses that you did besides the consignment over the years?
Yeah, great question. Thank you. Before I was a mother,
Mhm.
I did wedding photography on the side because I've always loved photography, which I think is
Mhm.
pretty cool looking down the pipe because I take pictures all the time and I do
Mhm.
video, with my YouTube channel and all that.
Mhm.
So it was like layer upon layer, it built upon itself. But yes, wedding photography was before, and then selling things, of course, selling my own things, selling
Mhm.
things for other people. I
Mhm.
like to joke now. I'm actually as we speak, I have one of my consignment clients. I sell vehicles too and RVs, and it doesn't have to stop with stuff in boxes. So I have one actually going on like right now. I'm like, I'm going to be on a podcast. So here's all of your instructions. Gotta hope that it goes well. Sorry, but it's been really cool helping to step into helping other people, just serving them in
Mhm.
that regards. And it doesn't have to be full time. It can definitely be
Right.
done part time, so it's pretty cool.
So I know that you have some inventory that you keep. So
Mhm.
how do you not become a hoarder? I mean,
It's a very
I can
real
only watch
problem.
that show like 5 minutes at a
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
because then I'm like, I gotta go get rid of some stuff.
Yeah, yeah. There's difference in the hoarding and the, organization, right? I think it's I think it's having systems in place, making
Mhm,
sure, I revamped all of my inventory system and my,
mhm,
'cause I've had, offices and warehouses and storage units. I've had all
mhm,
that, and I have, as I've grown older in my business, I'm like, I start the month off already
mhm,
in the negative because I'd have to pay all this rent. And I'm like, well, why don't I just figure out a way to organize better and
mhm,
streamline my inventory and watch the stuff that I'm taking on to sell and then
mhm.
try to do it in my own home office. And so I
Okay.
have learned through that process to really be very diligent with my inventory so it doesn't turn into a hoarding situation, because that is definitely, when you're a reseller, you have to
Mhm.
really watch that, because it can grow, because it's so fun finding stuff, right? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, it's the best going out garage sailing and treasure hunting, it's like, my daughter and I call it, or
yeah,
getting free stuff to sell and getting Coach
yeah.
pieces and Louis Vuittons and, all this really
Oh,
pretty stuff.
wow. Yeah.
But yeah, you've got to manage it on the back end.
So
So
you just definitely keep everything, like, organized, and that
always
way,
trying. Yep. I have a tote system. I have I have a course where I go into a lot of detail on it, but
Mhm,
how does it really look behind the scenes? But I
mhm,
have found using totes and what eBay, because I sell on other platforms than just eBay. eBay is definitely my favorite. eBay
mhm,
has a thing where you call custom SKU. So
mhm.
I basically give each item a SKU number, and it's based on the tote that it's going to be stored in. That way I don't have to, it squishes down the amount of space that I really need. I used to
Oh,
keep things
okay.
all in the boxes that they would be shipped out in, but there's lots of space in each box that's taking up
Yeah.
all this cubic feet, so to say.
Yeah, yeah.
So it really condenses it, and it keeps it nice and protected from if any elements. You have a lid
Mm,
snap down tote,
right.
and it looks nice and clean and uniform. So it doesn't have that hoarding look of clutter, which is stressful and not good for our mental health, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, so over the years, have you, like, went through any, like, dry spells, or did you have to
Mhm.
kinda get more creative, with, making sure that you keep your business going?
Yeah. Oh, I love that question. So when Haley, which is my daughter, my husband and I, when she was getting into um, right about mid pre-K and the kindergarten age,
Mhm,
I started to notice that I felt as a mom that she would be better having some time, of course, around children, so that she could
mhm,
not only learn just regular skills, but learning the social interactions.
mhm,
And so at that time, the dentist that I used to work for before she retired, or before I
mhm,
resigned, her friend needed someone to help run his dental practice. He was in a bind. So
mm,
he reached out to me and asked, could you just come in and fill in? Can you just come? I
mhm,
need someone for the front desk. I was like, I love being at home with Haley. So I'm not going to be your person, but I'll come
mhm.
temporarily until you find somebody. Well, Nikki,
Okay.
that turned into 13 years. No joke, and ended up running 2 very busy dental surgery practices, which I learned so much in the process. But yeah, I was like, "No, no," I kept saying, like, "No, no," like, after the 5th time, and he's not he's a very well-respected man in the community, and he kept, "Can you please?" And I was like, after the 5 times, I'm like, "God, are you trying to tell me something? Maybe I should reconsider." And then right after that is when the 2008 and everything went down,
Yeah.
so I'm
The
really
house
glad I
was
wasn't in
yeah.
my own business during that to weather that storm.
Right.
And I learned so much about business that I implement into my full-time because I'm full time again. Um,
Mhm.
that I would have never learned if I wasn't dealing face to face with the public on such a high scale, a high level, and
Mhm.
managing such a large team and running the report.
Wow. Yeah.
All the stuff that comes with running dental practices that
Yeah.
really made me who I am today to be
Yeah.
better at what I'm doing now.
Wow. I could definitely see that being a help because,
Yeah.
whenever I go to the dentist office, those ladies are just on
Yep.
it. They're
Mhm.
organized. They've got, the records all
Mhm.
ready to go for the day, and
Yeah.
the dentist comes out and asks her like what's going on, and
Yep.
she's like
Yep.
rattling off the whole,
Yep.
list. So yeah, I
Yes.
could
He
totally
was
see
so
how that
funny.
would be helpful.
He would come out and just like, "Okay, where do I go?" I'm like, "Go that way. Do this. Go that." He was like, "Just point me in the right direction. Surgery. Okay, I'm going." It was great. It was a great experience for sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I can totally see that being, you know. So my next question would be,
Mhm.
so I know you have YouTube and you have your own podcast.
Yeah.
And so let me see here what um, oh, so how did you use YouTube to expand your business?
I YouTube had so back in 2020, this was before we knew the world was falling apart and we had a pandemic on our shoulders, right? I
Okay.
I I knew that. So when I had my ebook way back when,
Uh-huh.
I also had people reaching out to me to help for me to teach them for consulting, to teach them how
Right.
to do what I was doing.
Right.
And so I did that up until I went to the dental practice. And although I've always kept reselling on the side and selling,
Uh-huh.
helping consignment clients, I of course had to scale it back just for managing everything. Um,
Right.
and then as I was starting to um, get know that it was about time for me to exit back out of the dental career for good and go
Yeah.
full time again with being a business entrepreneur.
Uh-huh.
That's when I started making the videos on YouTube because I just really wanted to help people. I knew that
Yeah.
people, and my whole slogan is fast tracking your journey to online reselling success. I had such a bumpy road getting started. And so
Mhm.
because of that, I want to help people. I'm like, it doesn't have to be that way. I know people are struggling financially, so I started
Mhm.
just making videos about how to do what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That developed into courses. And
Mhm.
then 2 years later, after suffering some health related issues because of the amount of stress trying to juggle everything,
Mhm.
then I went ahead and retired from dental and just went full force with my YouTube
Yeah.
courses and my eBay business.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, I'm sorry that you went through a bad time, but I meant
Mhm.
that's awesome that you had something to turn to,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I would have never left Nikki if I didn't have the health issues. I
Yeah.
don't mind saying I had strokes. I had 2 strokes, and it really makes you wake up and say, "You know what? The whole reason I started my eBay business years ago is because time is precious, life is short. She's only gonna be
Yeah.
small once, right?" But
Right.
then almost 2 decades later, time is precious, life is short. I'm only gonna live once, right? And oh my gosh, it almost choked
Yeah.
me up saying that. So you come to the grips of
We don't think
really
about ourselves, you
no.
know you
No,
know,
we're
and
always taking care of others.
yeah, and the hardest thing I had to learn was if I don't take care of myself, then
Mhm.
I am not gonna be able to help the ones who
Yeah.
rely on me, and we as moms, we never ever
Mhm.
slow down and think about that ever.
Yeah.
And it's just so critical, and
Mhm.
it's shocking to me that, mothers give their lives to their kids and their
Yeah.
families, and then they end up the kids leave and they're sitting here broken and
Yeah.
sick and
Yep.
can't move,
Yes.
because they haven't been taking
Yes.
care of themselves.
Yeah. And,
So, go
as
ahead.
we get older too, I think we sometimes forget that we are, especially if we've been caring for people for so many years
Yeah.
and putting others before ourselves, that we forget when we have those dreams and passions inside of us,
Mhm.
that we know that there's something bigger out there. And for me, it was helping others through teaching,
Mhm. Yeah.
which I just love doing, and through having my own business.
Mhm.
It's so, it's so fun,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
so I think as we get older in life, we have the responsibilities and things in life, and it gets scarier and scarier to step out and
Mhm.
do the things that we feel like our younger self would have just jumped out and done, like I did,
Yeah,
you know? And
yeah,
so I if I didn't have those strokes, Nikki, I would have never left there. I would have
yeah.
never backed away. It was so ingrained in me and so much of my life, and a really great income, and it's scary stepping out, right? Especially when I don't mind saying I'll be 50 next year, you know? It's
Me too.
scary to think, right? Yes. We were talking about our stages in life before the show, but
I
yeah,
know.
yeah, it gets scary stepping out, but we need to do it, right? We still, life is precious, time is short.
It is, and the one thing that I've discovered is, so when I was a mom, I felt like I had to have this strong persona for my
Yeah.
kids, you know. They never ever, I mean, they saw me when I was upset, you know, or
Mhm.
mad at something they did, but the person I was before I
Yeah.
had the kids, I was, fun and, and a lot of people wanted to hang out with me because I
Yeah.
was just so, a great person to be around.
Mhm.
And I realize now they did not get to really see that
Mm.
side of me, and so
Yeah.
now I feel that's coming back out,
I love that.
and my oldest one sees it the most now because he still lives home. But
Mhm.
he's like, "You're a weirdo," you know. He's like, "Why are you acting like this?" I'm like, "This is just who I am,"
This is
you
great.
know.
We love the Nikki. We love you. Come back, come back. Yeah. It's fun
You
to be
know,
fun, right?
and my sisters, they know that person,
Yeah.
and they just fall right in line with it. So I just think that um it's I don't think it's selfish
Yeah.
to take care of yourself and to what whatever capacity that is,
Mhm.
and
Right.
to just be a better person.
Mhm.
I
Absolutely.
don't want to retire from my job and have to, the main event of my day is going to the doctor's office,
Oh
you
my
know?
gosh. Yes, you're so true. Well, you know what, Nikki, as you're talking, I've thought of this 2 different times, of us taking care of ourselves. It's just like when we're on an airplane, right? And they're going
Mhm.
over the instructions before you take off. What did they say?
Mhm.
If we lose cabin pressure, put your mask on first before you can help
Yes.
others. We've got to
Yes.
take care of ourselves and self love,
Yes.
and care for our mental and our physical well being
Yes.
by nurturing ourselves so we can be our best form for others, including our children.
Right. I definitely think that that's just an important message.
Yeah.
And even if you're not, I mean, I know lots of ladies who aren't moms,
Hmm.
but they do care for others. Like they have
Yeah.
been very, they've been servants. And
Right.
I feel like that would be the same, scenario. And
Hmm.
um, which just leads me back to a lady we used to work with. She wasn't a mom, but she, was in Girl Scouts. She did
Hmm.
this. Uh, I
Hmm.
think she did some other things too, but she was our age and she ended up passing. She had
Oh
like
gosh.
some type of a heart attack and she
Oh,
passed. And we were like shocked
wow.
because she never called off work. She was always there,
Right.
and we were just kind of devastated,
Mm.
like, oh my God, what, you
Right.
know, does she even know that she was having issues?
Mm.
So that's why we need to be very intentional about taking care of ourselves and,
Yeah.
um, you know, that way we can be here for a while.
Yes, yes, fulfill our purpose, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would like to think that we're only halfway to, we've only lived half of our life. So
Yeah.
we got to maintain these bodies and our minds and our outlook on life for many more years to come. We're just getting
Right.
started.
So for someone who's like thinking, I think I might want to try this out. So
Yeah.
how would they, I mean, what would be the first thing someone would need to do to think about doing maybe like an online consignment?
Yeah. So for online consignment, if you want me to help, we don't have to live close. I just had a viewer from my channel reach out to me. They're in Vegas and I live in Orlando, Florida, and they're going to start mailing me boxes. We'll pre-check them first, make sure they're
Yeah.
good and worth our money to send them. But I've been figuring this remote thing out. So, because I've
Uh-huh.
had so many people reach out to me, which is just really fun.
Mhm.
So yes, they can reach out. They can email me, Growth Academy at Paladin Global Market. The emails
Mhm.
on my website and all my YouTube, Instagram, and email websites, all Paladin Global Market. And I can
Mhm.
help you, or I can direct you and to see if there's anything I can help you with questions. If you want to sell it yourself, I've got tons of
Oh,
free
okay.
content for people who want to do that as well. So, and then if they want to get on a launch list for my book and learn more, I've got a lot of freebie offers and special things coming because
Uh-huh.
we are getting ready for the launch. So just email me, let me know that they heard about me through your podcast. I'll take good care of them.
Awesome. Well, I definitely love that. And you said that's paladinglobalmarket.com.
Yes, ma'am.
See, I remembered.
You did good. And you pronounced it right. I've gotten let's see, Paladin. That's one of the ones I get a lot. But no, you did good. Thank you.
Well, I do get one right every once in a while.
You
So,
did good.
well, Michelle, I am so glad that you decided to hop on today and have this conversation with me. And I am so glad that we were able to connect and
Yeah,
learn about, a side hustle and taking care of ourselves. And hopefully, I hope that you can come back in the future. So,
I would love that, Nikki. You've been such a pleasure, and I'm so excited. So we will definitely stay in touch because you have just been so much fun. Thank you.
thank you.